For me, theme parks were not happy places. They were giant, noisy traps filled with monsters. These monsters were made of steel and wood. They had names like the Goliath or the Viper. My family called them roller coasters. I called them torture machines. The worst part was the sound. You could hear the screams from the parking lot. It was not a happy sound. It was a terrified sound. And then there was the click-clack-click of the chain lift. That sound meant you were going up, 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 and you were definitely not coming down slowly. I knew, even as a little kid, that this was not for me. I preferred solid ground, thank you very much. My older brother Roderick loved them, of course. He would study the park map like it was a battle plan. He'd point out all the biggest, fastest, and loopiest rides. My mom would try to get me excited. She'd say things like, "Look, Greg, there's a fun-looking one with a pirate ship." But I knew the truth. A pirate ship ride was just a roller coaster that swung back and forth instead of going on a track. It was designed by someone who probably hated kids. My stomach would start doing flips just looking at the brochure. My palms would get sweaty, and I'd start thinking of excuses. Maybe I had a sudden stomachache, or maybe I forgot my lucky socks at home. The walk from the car to the entrance gate was the worst. It felt like walking toward my doom. Every step brought me closer to the giant metal snakes coiling into the sky. My dad would try to be cool about it. He'd say, "You don't have to ride anything you don't want to, sport." But I could see the disappointment in his eyes. He wanted a son who would go on the big rides with him. Instead, he got me, a kid who thought the spinning teacups were a near-death experience. The whole family was excited, and I was the one dark cloud on a sunny, theme park-filled day. I just wanted to go home and play my video games. At least in my games, if I fell from a great height, I had extra lives. My strategy was simple: avoidance. As soon as we got inside, I would find the least scary thing in the entire park. This was usually a bench, or maybe the souvenir shop. My family would want to rush to the newest, most terrifying ride. I would suddenly have to use the bathroom, or I'd be incredibly interested in a caricature artist drawing someone's face. I became an expert at stalling, but you can only stall for so long. Eventually the moment would come when my family would head for a ride, and that's when my real plan would have to kick in. It wasn't a good plan, but it was the only one I had. It involved a lot of noise and usually some tears. My family would drag me into the line for a ride. It was always something they called a starter ride, something like a log flume. They would say, "It's just a boat ride with one little splash." I knew better. That little splash was a giant drop designed to soak you and scare you at the same time. The line would move forward, inch by painful inch. With every step, my heart pounded harder. I would watch the log boats go up the big hill and disappear. Then a few seconds later, I'd hear a giant splash and a bunch of screams. My family thought the screams were from fun. I knew they were screams of pure terror. I was not going to be one of them. When we got close to the front of the line, I'd start my performance. First, I'd begin to whine. "My stomach hurts," I'd say loudly. "I think I'm getting sick." My mom would try to calm me down. "You're fine, sweetie, it's just nerves." That was my cue to escalate. I'd start to cry, not just little tears, but full-on dramatic sobs. I'd tell them the ride was broken. I saw a screw fall off, it was too dangerous. Anything to get out of that line. People would start to stare, other kids in line would point. My brother Roderick would look like he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. He'd pretend he didn't know me, which was probably for the best. If the crying didn't work, I'd go for the final move, the full-blown tantrum. I would drop to the ground. I'd refuse to move. I would yell, "You can't make me." The ride operator would look over annoyed. My dad's face would turn red. He'd have to make a choice. Either physically drag his screaming son onto the ride, or give up. Usually he gave up. He would sigh and say, "Fine, Greg. Go wait with your mother by the exit." Victory. I had won. But it never felt like a real victory. It just felt embarrassing. My mom would lead me away, and I could feel everyone's eyes on me. I was the kid who ruined the fun. So I would spend the rest of the day with my mom. We would sit on a bench and eat popcorn while my dad and Roderick went on all the rides. They would come back laughing and excited, their hair all messed up. They'd talk about the huge drops and the fast turns. I would just sit there feeling small and lame. I knew I was missing out, but the fear was just too big. It was a giant wall inside my brain, and I had no idea how to climb over it. So I just stayed on the ground, watching everyone else have fun up in the sky. This became my normal. The family went to the theme park, and I went to the bench. As I got older, the tantrum stopped. I was too old to throw myself on the ground. But the fear didn't go away. It just got quieter. When my family went to a theme park, I just accepted my fate. I became the official bag holder. While my friends and family were screaming their heads off on a coaster that went upside down 7 times, I was on a bench. I was guarding the purses, the souvenir cups, and the giant stuffed animals they had won. I told myself I didn't care. I told myself that roller coasters were dumb, but deep down I knew I was just scared. It was a secret I kept from everyone, even though it was pretty obvious. My friends would try to convince me. They'd say, "Come on, Greg, just try this one. It's not that bad." They didn't understand. To them, it was just a ride. To me, it was a 2-minute nightmare. I would stand at the ride's exit and wait for them. They would come stumbling out, laughing and dizzy. They'd high-five each other and talk about how awesome it was. I would just hand them their bags. I felt like I was on the outside of a really cool club. A club where the only membership requirement was being brave enough to get on a ride. And I just couldn't do it. Years went by like this. High school trips to the amusement park were the worst. It was basically a day of me trying to look busy while everyone else was having the time of their lives. I would wander through the arcade or look at the shops. I probably knew the layout of every gift shop and every theme park on the coast. I could tell you where to find the best fudge or the tackiest t-shirts. But I couldn't tell you what it felt like to drop from 200 feet in the air. The fear had become a part of my personality. I was the guy who doesn't do rides. It was just who I was. Even as a young adult, nothing changed. I'd go to theme parks with my girlfriend and she would go on the rides with her friends while I waited. She was nice about it, she never made me feel bad. But I felt bad. I wanted to be the fun boyfriend who wins her a giant teddy bear and goes on the Ferris wheel with her at sunset. Instead, I was the guy who said, "You go have fun, I'll just wait here and watch this guy juggle." It was pathetic. I started to wonder if I would be like this forever. A permanent member of the ground crew, always looking up at the sky. The day it all changed was my 25th birthday. My friends for some reason decided to celebrate it at a theme park. I guess they forgot who I was. Or maybe it was a secret plan. We got there, and the first thing they wanted to ride was a new coaster called the Leviathan. It was huge. It looked like it touched the clouds. I immediately started my old routine. "You guys go ahead," I said, "I'll just grab us a table for lunch." But this time, my friend Dave wouldn't let me off the hook. He looked at me and said, "Nope, not today, you're coming with us." He wasn't mean about it, he just sounded so sure of himself. For some reason, I didn't fight it. Maybe I was just tired of being scared. Tired of being the guy on the bench. So, I got in line. My heart was pounding out of my chest, my palms were sweating, all the old feelings came rushing back. I wanted to run. But I looked at my friends, all of them smiling and encouraging me. I took a deep breath, the line moved forward. Before I knew it, I was being strapped into a seat. The safety harness clicked down over my shoulders. It felt so tight, there was no escape. The ride operator gave a thumbs up, and the train lurched forward. We were heading for the giant hill. The click-clack-click of the chain lift was just as terrifying as I remembered. We went up and up so high I could see the entire park below me. I closed my eyes tight, I was bracing for the worst. We reached the top, and for a split second, there was silence. And then, we dropped. My stomach flew up into my throat. But instead of terror, something else happened. I opened my eyes. We were rushing toward the ground at an insane speed. The wind was screaming past my ears. And I was laughing. I was actually laughing. I couldn't believe it. This wasn't scary. This was amazing. We hit the bottom of the drop and shot up into a giant loop. I was upside down looking at the world from a whole new angle. I threw my hands up in the air just like I had seen everyone else do a million times. The ride twisted and turned, and with every new drop and curve, I felt more alive. When the train finally slowed down and pulled into the station, I was breathless. My friends were looking at me, waiting for my reaction. I just had a giant goofy grin on my face. That, I said, was awesome. Let's go again. I couldn't believe all the years I had wasted being afraid. From that day on, I became a roller coaster fanatic, always looking for the next big thrill.